Yo, good day, gents, and welcome to another episode of FathersFyre. My name's Jody Sedrick, and as you know, every week we get together to explore the joys, the challenges, the triumphs, the sorrows, and yes, the fun of being a dad. And I'm super excited because I got a guest today that's got a smile on his face all the time, and you just can't help but have fun hanging with Kean Moore. How are you today, buddy?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
That's good. So guys and gals that are listening, this is my guest, Kean Moore. He's the owner of Lavish Auto Detailing, and he's got not only a thriving business, but he's also got a phenomenal family. And I met him about a year ago, and I'm like, you know what? I just got to have him on the podcast so we can talk about being a good dad and his experience being a dad. So welcome. I'm super excited to explore this with you. So, in fact, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can actually see the beautiful family portrait behind him.
Yeah.
He's all decked out in a bow tie and his lovely wife all dressed up and that beautiful, beautiful daughter. So let's talk about your family. How long have you and your bride been together?
We've been together 5 years.
5 years? Not long.
Been together 6 years, married 5. Didn't take
That's
me long.
cool, man. Hey, you know what? When you know, right?
Yes, sir.
In fact, I have a really good friend. His oldest daughter just got married about a month ago. And literally, actually, it's been longer than that. She literally met her boyfriend, or her now husband, like less than 3 weeks, and they decided to get married. I'm
well,
like,
you know.
I'm like, dude, that's a little fast.
That's quick.
I go, what'd you think about that? He goes, oh, well, me and Angie did the same thing, so I can't complain. I'm like, well, if you know, you know. So, yeah, it's good. So let's talk about, you and your wife, 6 years into this, and you guys have a beautiful baby girl. And, you're balancing having a family. Your wife is like going to school or was going to school.
Yep.
And so you're balancing this crazy dynamic of trying to build a family together. And then, whoop, all right, here comes baby. So how did you guys figure that out, and what did you learn in the process?
So it was a lot. So, yeah, she was in she's in school getting her doctorate in anthropology, and so we had a baby, and we pretty much just kind of was just like, hey, this is happening, and we pretty much was just pretty much, I was still doing the detailing, and she would actually come out with me while I was doing the jobs, and just kind of preparing. And it was funny because I was detailing cars and having to take out car seats. I was just like, oh my goodness, these people are like, how do you take these things out? I had a client come out and help me take a car seat out because I didn't know how to work it. And so pretty much we just kind of just preparing. And my wife, she loves research. So literally she bought a bunch of books researching on kids, what you do with them, how they work, like how they were in the belly. Like we did the thing where like it's a melon, it's a cantaloupe and stuff like that. So she's a researcher. So I let her do the research and I kind of tagged along. But my mom has 4 kids, so it's 4 of us. So I kind of know kids from being hands-on. So it was a lot, working and with her being in school, and she was kind of helping with the business on the tech side, answering calls. So it was a lot. It was a lot to adjust to. And I was mobile. I didn't have a shop. So literally I would hop in the car or the van and be back and forth and trying to help her with just maintaining, taking care of the house. It was a lot. I was wore out.
You were wore out.
Yeah, I was wore out.
So, and that's kind of my wife. My wife was, when we first got pregnant, she was all about the research and all about, I got to do the Bradley classes. And so we did all
Yep.
this stuff. And I was kind of along for the ride. And in part because I'm kind of the kind of personality that says, we'll figure it out, right?
That's me.
That's me, right? But at the same token, I'm also the oldest of 8 kids. So I was very familiar with changing diapers and
Hmm.
herding cats and
Right.
siblings and so I had a lot of confidence going
Hmm.
into it. So when you were a young boy with your mom, were you pretty involved in the day to day with your siblings?
Hmm. Yeah, I was. Yeah,
So
I was. Oh yeah, I would help like get them dressed, being there trying to cook and just kind of being the big brother. Yeah, it was kind of yeah, it was kind of rough. Like my mom, she did a lot. She did a lot for us, and just being transparent, just kind of like having to grow up really quick, just kind of being trying to be that man of the family. And you say you're the oldest of 8. I'm like the oldest of 15.
oh wow.
Yeah, yeah. So it is a
Wow.
lot. Like my family is pretty much spread out over the U.S. Like my mom has 4, but my biological dad has 8, and she married my stepdad, and he had 7. So literally, I was the oldest of 15, and it's like, yeah, like I was like that dad. I found out about siblings that I didn't even know about. So yeah.
Wow. And that's such a load to put on a young man, right? Because
Yeah.
you're dealing with moving in and out of your mom's relationships, your
Hmm.
dad's relationships. You're trying to figure out yourself, and your mom's relying upon you to man up. And I think there's a lot of men that have that some type of similar experience where
Hmm.
at a very young age they were relied on, forced to put on their shoulders the mantle of being the dad when they really still hadn't figured out what it was like to be a boy yet.
Yeah, exactly. I was just having a conversation with one of my friends, good friends. I was just like, "Hey, bro, like we're really doing the best we can with what we have." And it's like I'm a researcher or talk to other guys or men that has been through things, or if you had a dad, I'm just like, "Hey, what was your dad like?" Or what things did you guys do? And it's just like I realized that I had to kind of piece together what I thought. I remember Googling what is a man, like steps of
Mm.
becoming a man. So it's just like a lot of that stuff I kind of had to find out myself or have my papa kind of help me. But that was my granddad, but he played a big role. But it was a lot of figuring things out, seeing things I didn't like, seeing things I did like, and just kind of piecing it together. But it's rough, but realizing that I know what not to do or to be available for my kids and my brothers and sisters, because I kind of like reach out to them as much as possible, but also having my family. So it's a lot, but doing the best I
Yeah.
can.
Well, and it sounds like that role hasn't really diminished, right? It sounds like even today,
Hmm.
you have your own family, but your siblings are still relying upon you as being the father figure in some ways in their life.
Hmm.
So, I mean, that's got to be a real challenge. So, how have you deciphered? You mentioned doing a lot of research and all this stuff, so you can figure out how to be a man, how to be
Right.
a father. How have you deciphered? How have you decided what kind of dad that you want to be?
Um, I've kind of like me and my wife had these conversations and just kind of talked about, well, I kind of opened up to her, just kind of telling her my experience and us really coming together and thinking about what we want our kids to kind of I got it, but I'm trying to put it into words. I think realizing a lot of what I didn't have and wanted to give them that. And me and my wife kind of thought about it. So like, all right, this is kind of the life we want to give our kids. Like she had her dad there, and her parents have been married for over 50 years. I didn't. So we came and pieced together what we thought. Like, I think it's all about creating the life that you want. What works for others doesn't work for others. So just kind of researching what I like and the things that I didn't have and seeing other parents or seeing my friends had. So I was just like, I want to create memories. I want them to know that I was there, just kind of give them something to, just something to look up to, just like fill a void that I didn't have. So a lot of times I actually look at what I didn't have and be like, oh, wow, I want to give my kids this. And it's a lot of it I am still figuring out because my kids are 2 and 4. So it's like it's still a lot of things being built, things being put into play. So that is, yeah, I don't
No,
know.
no, no. I love that because I love that you had to think about it,
Mhm.
right? Because I think a lot of men look at other men and they look at their families and they go, they have it together,
Mhm.
right? Everything is running smoothly in their business, their family. He's got a beautiful wife. He's got 2 kids, and he's got it figured out. And inside, you're going, dude, you don't realize this is a 3-ring circus, and I'm not only the master of ceremonies, but I'm also the chief clown and the lion tamer. And it's like, how am I going to do it all, right? And I think a lot of men, they don't give themselves the grace to go, you know what, I'm figuring this out.
Mhm.
And I did not have a great role model in my life. So I'm trying to piece all of these things in cooperation with my wife
Right.
as a tag team effort, but I'm also trying to become the man that I want to be and ultimately the father that I want to be to my kids.
Right.
And I've never asked this question before. So I have a lot of confidence in asking you this question. When you look at where you've gone, where you've come from, and where you've gone and what you've become, how are you doing as a dad?
I would say I'm doing a lot better, and I like to self-examine myself, self-assess. So I've been a lot better because when I first started the business, I initially started the business because I wanted to spend more time with my kids. I wanted to be able to control my schedule. So at first, I can honestly say I was working 24/7, trying to provide, being a single income household. Like everything was on my shoulders. So I was just like, I gotta work, 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 work. And then I kind of realized that, hey, you're working so much that you won't be able to you're not spending as much time with your kids. And I was doing some research, and a lot of guys were just like, oh, being a business owner means sacrifice, but it's like, this is not what I wanted. This is not what I started a business for. So I kind of had to realize that, hey, everyone's mode doesn't fit me. And I used to be in my phone, social media, just trying to keep the flow going. And then I realized that, hey, it was turning me into something that I didn't want. Like I would come home from work, kind of tired, grumpy. And my wife would kind of get on to me. She was just like, "You're barking at the kids. I know you're tired," and stuff like that. But she has a minor in psychology. So yeah.
She's analyzing you.
Yeah. So like, and I appreciate that because it's like, I'm the type of person that is self-assessed. And if I don't see it, I was like, hey, tell me what's going on so I can fix it. So with her telling me that, I was able to self-assess and be like, oh wow, I am seeing that, kind of step outside of myself and see what's going on. And I've been actually spending more time. One of my clients got me a book, and it was just talking about how as dads we can make time stand still. So actually spending time with my kids, even if it's an hour a day or something like that, realizing that I didn't get that much. So giving them more than our goal is to give them what we had or more of what we give them what we didn't have or whatever like that. But just giving them more And I had to realize, hey, an hour of the undivided attention will go way further than a half attempt of me on social media, me doing this. And it's like kind of measuring myself from when I first started the business and had a kid. And I think so, not trying to jump around, but I started full time in the business in like March, and I had my kid in September. So it was a lot, and just realizing that I've came really far because now I can not answer the phone or put the phone away and spend more times with my kids and actually seeing the change. Because, like I say, my wife having a minor in psychology, she would actually see that, hey, you coming home tired, not being able to spend as much time with the kids, or you're kind of barking or being grumpy, that really affects their mood the next day, the next 2 or 3 days. And I actually looked at that and actually, all right, okay, I'm going to spend this time playing with them, playing Play-Doh, playing doll, having tea time, and actually notice that, wow, that really helps them. And it used to be to the point where they would cry and ask for mommy and not me. I was just like, oh man, that kind of made me feel like crap because like I was just like, oh, I'm here too. But realizing that I had to be that safe haven for them because like I say, she analyzes it very well and I'm learning and picking up on it. And it's just like, for a kid to come to you and let their emotions out means that you're a safe place for them. And it's like, I had to realize that with me coming home, being tired, mentally drained, and things like that, that they would go to her if they felt sad or wanted to cry and stuff like that. And now I get that. I get to comfort them, and that kind of lets me know that I'm better than I was before because they'll be like, "Mommy, mommy," and it's like now it's dad. It's kind of equal. Like when I come through the door from work, I get a big hug. They both run to me when I come home. So I definitely improved a lot, and I see it in myself and see it in their actions and behavior.
That that's awesome. Congratulations on
Thank
that.
you.
I mean, it's huge, right? Because I think a lot of times we as men don't step back and, like you said, self-assess. Now,
Hmm.
how are we doing, not only in business and at work? How are we
Hmm.
doing in the home?
Right.
How is our relationship with our wife? How is the relationship with our kids? And if we're not very purposeful in spending time with them and dedicating and protecting time with them
Hmm.
and being fully present in that moment,
Right.
there's so many things that can fill the gaps, and your kids and your wife
Hmm.
can feel totally abandoned
Hmm.
even though you're in the house.
Yep, we've had those conversations. We've had those conversations, and that's why I took a big step back from social media. Like I tell all my friends, it's just like, hey, I'm kind of like setting times to talk to you because it's like I'm pulling time away from business, I'm pulling time away from family, I'm pulling time away from myself, and just realizing that all that stuff is important. It's more it's balance. But then I was talking to one of my buddies or mentors. It's like sometimes it's more of a counterweight because at the end of the day you don't grow in balance. You grow when this scale is higher, that scale is higher. So it's just like one scale needs to be higher than the other. So when I'm at work, I'm at work. When I'm with the kids, I'm with the kids. When I'm with the wife, when I'm with Tiffany, I'm with her. And just realizing that whatever you're doing, be there, like wherever your feet are, be present. So that's one of the things that I really had to realize. And with social media, like I tell all my friends, they know it's just like, hey, this is an app. I feel like it should be used as a tool and to connect. It shouldn't steal you away from your partner when you're sitting right next to them. So it's like we've had those conversations, feeling alone, and it's like one of the things about me and Tiffany, we like to self-assess. Like she has minor in psychology, so it's like she's analyzing, and I like self-improvement. So it's like we're literally, if something is wrong, I'll be like, hey, I feel this or something isn't right. Let's talk about it. Let's iron it out. Like we try not to go to bed upset at each other. So it's like if there's a problem in that day, we try our best to get it taken care of, get it ironed out before we go to sleep. So
And what a blessing to have, a partner that you both can be open with
right.
your heart. You can be open with your concerns and your fears, hey, you know what? I don't feel like something's right. Because I think a lot of men, they walk through their family with hidden feelings in their heart.
Yes.
And those feelings are festering and they're smoldering. And then all of a sudden, a little thing goes wrong and they explode. And
Yeah.
it's because they haven't, they haven't disciplined themselves and allowed them the space to go, hey, honey, this is bothering me.
Yeah. You have to let those feelings out.
Yeah,
And
and it's tough.
it is. It is. I remember my uncle told me when I was getting married, he said, your wife, you need to be vulnerable. Your wife needs to see that side of you. You can't walk around being hard all the time. It took me a while to get that because bottling everything up is kind of like shaking a soda, and like one little thing loosens the cap and eventually it's going to explode. So that's been a process with us, and I had to learn to cry. Like I tell a bunch of my buddies, they like, I tell them, yo, I was in the shop crying. I was like, January was a hard month. I was like, man, I think I've cried more in January than I did in whole 2021. But let them know that it's okay to have feelings. It's okay to cry. It's okay for things to get tough and talk about it. Like I tell them, it's like, hey, if you want to talk to me about something, I don't judge. I'm here, and vice versa. And it's like realizing that my kids need to see me be emotional. Like I was telling my daughter, I was like, hey, baby, daddy's sad right now. Things are really hard for dad. And it's just like, I think I was upset, and I kind of barked at her, snapped at her. I was just like, hey, daddy's sorry. And like, I actually apologized to my kid. I'm just like, hey, daddy didn't mean to yell at you. Daddy's going through a tough time. And just like, daddies get sad too. Daddy has a lot going on. And she was like, sometimes she'd be like, oh, daddy, are you going to work? I'm like, yeah. I was just like, kind of explain to her, just like, daddy, he goes to work to pay for this house, your school, the car you wanted. So just like being open and letting them know that from a young age, and just letting them know that everyone has emotions. Dad has feelings, and when you grow up and marry, like I'm learning, I forgot where I seen this at. It might have been a Facebook post that your kids are in your marriage also, so they need to see a healthy marriage. They need to see a healthy relationship. They need to see a healthy balance of love, self love, uh, sibling love, marriage. So just kind of taking all that in and try to apply everything that I take in that should be exercised. But
I
yeah.
love the perspective. I love the perspective that children are part of your marriage.
Hmm.
And I think in a lot of homes, a lot of families, especially when children come into the house, that the children become the priority at the
Yeah.
cost
Hmm.
of the husband and wife, of the couple. Right, all of a
Agreed.
sudden, and I get it. You want to take care of this baby, you want to teach them and nurture them and protect them,
Hmm.
but many couples really struggle because they've lost themselves in having children.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I tell my kids all the time, I'm like, look, you have to realize that your mom is the queen of my heart. She
Hmm.
is preeminent in this family. Preeminent.
Right.
She is top dog in my heart. I mean, I
Right.
love you guys, but one day you're gonna fly the coop and you're gonna have your own special love.
Hmm.
And I'm gonna be left with her, and I don't want to wake up to a stranger or be
Right.
the stranger, and she's
Hmm.
going, I got another 25 years with you. It's like, no,
Yep.
right? I want it to be, all right, what do we get to do next? What is the
Exactly.
next adventure in our life, right? And I
Hmm.
want our kids to see and feel that that relationship is so strong between us.
Oh yeah. No, I definitely agree. And
So go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I
Oh yeah.
interrupted. No, go
Oh,
ahead.
no worries. So, and it's kind of like talking about that, and that's kind of we're working on that now. Like having more date nights. Like with me, we was talking about with the business, how it's just me and I can make my schedule how I want. I think before I added on employees, I was working Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, sometimes Friday. Wednesday would be date days, and we would actually, the kids are in Montessori, so it's just like, well, they're in school. it's our time. So that actually kept the fire burning, and like we kind of realized how things were before we had kids. We would go take off on a vacation, we would go exploring in the woods, and now we're doing those same thing with the kids, and we're doing those by ourselves. So it actually it it helps because a lot of my friends have kids, and it was just like, whoo, it's tough for moms, it's tough for dads, especially for moms. But it's just like kind of how I guess with having kids at the age of 6 or 8 is when you really kind of get back to yourself, but you're not really getting back to yourself. You've became a new person because you're a family man, you're a mom, you're a dad, and we're implementing that slowly, trying to be like, hey, I'm not Kean before kids, I'm not Tiffany before kids. And it's like now we're trying to find the new us, but kind of implement some of those things because at the end of the day, like you say, when the kids leave the nest, we still have to have us. And I've talked to a lot of people that it's just like, they was like, well, once the kid's gone, I'm out. I'm just like, I don't want that. I don't
I
want
don't
that.
either, man.
Right.
In fact, Judy and I recently just had our 33rd wedding anniversary, and we took a little
Congrats.
escape together, and thank you. And I, we were, just having some quiet time together there in Mexico, and I told her, sweetheart, I go, Judy, I want you to know that I love you. I love and I adore you, but I also love us.
Yeah,
And
that's awesome.
I think a lot of men miss the I love us.
Hmm.
It's just as important as I love you.
Right. Oh, I like that. I like that. I love that. That is awesome. We was literally talking about that today, about making a vision board for us. Like everybody has their individual vision boards. I was like, we should make a big vision board for us, and then kind of like to the side have like yours, mine, but
Oh, I
really,
love that.
yeah,
That's a great
yeah,
idea.
yeah.
Yeah,
Because it's like
wow.
we're one, and it's like we was just kind of talking about how we had a plan when we got married, and sometimes plan things change with kids. Like we had a lot going on, and it's like businesses, PhD, 2 kids, and all that stuff. And it's just like somewhere along the road, this changed, that changed, and just like, hey, we need to get back to what we want. Let's put together what we want, and then as individuals, we can put our things to the side because at the end of the day, for 2 people make one. So it's just like we got to put this together because it's a big family now, and we can still have the things that we want. But the biggest thing, it's kind of us. I feel like it's us first, and then, but I mean, it's kind of hard too because you got us, but the one and two makes one and one makes one. But yeah,
Well, I'm a firm believer that 1 plus 1 is 3, especially when you
right.
have the man upstairs in your life walking with you,
There
right?
you go.
So when you are spiritually connected and
Hmm.
driven with purpose to be unified, and you put him at the center of your relationship, that 1 and 1 becomes a threesome with power.
Amen.
And so, as we walk together with him and with each other, our families are blessed and they're unified. And
Hmm.
I'm a big believer of that. And so you know, it's easy to get distracted by the kids when
Yes.
really our purpose is to love one each other and create us as a couple, and then
Hmm.
us as a family naturally becomes one.
Right.
And so it's like, and I'm still learning this.
Right.
It's interesting. I often joke to my kids, I'm like, look, your mom and I, we've been married 33 years, and we're still on our honeymoon. So
Right.
wait till the next 100 years, right? But I think that comes from an attitude of continually being in pursuit of each other, of loving and serving each other and setting
Right.
each other as a priority. And as you do that, the priority naturally ripples down to the kids.
No, that's awesome. I
So
like that.
So looking, back, right? Now you have, 2 kids, 2 and 4. I have 2 questions kind of in wrap up. Number one, what have you discovered about yourself in being a dad? And 2, what do you think is important for men to do in their homes with their kids and their wife?
Hmm. I guess I kind of knew this before I was a dad. I don't know. That's a really good one. I guess I can kind of just shoot down the list of things that I would think. Um, wow. And it's good or bad or
It's good or bad. And I love that you asked that question, right?
Woo.
Because and this is the genesis of that question.
Hmm.
So I have always had a lot of pride in being a good father. I love being a dad, right? And I have always felt like I have been a dad
Hmm.
and a good dad, right? And we had 4 kids, Judy and I, and then we adopted 2, and they
Oh,
came
that's
into
awesome.
our homes at an older age. They came in at 8 and 9.
Oh
And
wow.
so as they came into our home, they came in our home with the hope of having a good family. But they
Hmm.
also came with broken hearts.
Right.
With, man, what happened to my dad? What happened to my mom? Who am I? Why do I have to be? All of these questions, right? And while I've tried to be a good dad, the reality of having broken hearts rippled across our family in ways that I hadn't anticipated.
Hmm.
And it brought out the best in me and it brought out the worst in me. And I
Okay.
discovered that I have a really big heart and I love, love, love my kids, right? I love playing with them. I love playing with them, being with them.
Hmm.
But I also discovered that when I'm stressed and I don't feel a connection, that I can become impatient,
Mm.
especially when I'm not being listened to or
Hmm.
they're not receiving what I'm saying, because a lot of what I think a lot of times is we confuse that they're not listening to us as opposed to they're not receiving what we told them to do or the advice
Right.
that we're giving, right? And I had to really look at myself and go, look, you're being impatient
Hmm.
with the connection that you're trying to build with these kids, and they're coming from a place of pain.
Right.
And so I have to be willing to slow down. I have to adjust my expectations to fit the reality of where they're coming from. They're trying to build a bridge. They're trying to build a connection. They're trying to build love. But at the same time, they've had these experiences that have made love and trust and reliance difficult.
Right.
So it really made me, you know, certain situations really made me look at myself and discover good and bad about myself as I've
Hmm.
tried to become a good father to all of my kids.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that definitely helps. So yeah, and that's awesome that you had your 4 and adopted 2. That's amazing. That is congrats. And I don't know if that's a congrats, but that's awesome. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. But I guess something that it has helped what I found out about myself is that my kids made me more assertive and more of a they make me more of a stand firm on what I believe and stand up for who I am, because a lot of stuff I wouldn't let bother me, or I would just be like, it is what it is. But now I have realized that having kids, being a father, that I have to be more assertive. Things that I normally would let go, I kind of would straighten those out. Like I had to just be, I kind of had to man up. They made me more of a man and be like, hey, this is what I stand for. I don't stand for this. This isn't going to fly. And seeing that, that, that the man that I am is eventually going to be kind of the man that they search for in life. So I kind of had to
Mm.
be like, hey, I want to be the best example of a man and father that I can be to my kids. And it really made me man up and make me take life a lot serious. Like now I can see how people say, oh, these kids saved my life. It's like they made me realize that life is something serious before. I mean, I feel like the greatest responsibility in life is having a kid. So I'm like, I really had to man up. And I guess something else that I learned, and I had to figure this out by like kind of what you're saying, being patient. But with me, I had to learn how to accept their feelings and understand what they're going through and comfort them because I
Mm.
never had time to really deal with my feelings. So we kind of let them deal with their feelings. Hey, why are you feeling this way? Actually explaining their feelings because as a man and just kind of like, I mean, I guess in our culture, the black culture, whatever, like however you want to put it, we're not allowed to complain. We're not allowed to kind of say our feelings. Oh, we don't need help and things like that. And I had to realize that being a father, I had to put that stuff to the side. It's like, yes, I need help. No, I can't do it by myself. And realizing that feelings are real, because before kids, I would be like, suck it up. It's all right. Go in the room. It'll be all right. Like those are the things that I would do to my brothers, and thank God my brother would be like, "Hey, Kean, you need to kind of calm down because when you have kids, this is going to affect them." And he's like 24, and I'm 30, so it's just like he knew this way before because I guess how I talked to them, and I was just like, "Hey, bro, thank you because." Now I really see what you're talking about. When my kids have a problem, comfort them instead of being like, suck it up. And that's something that has helped me. And I can be there for them when they need it, like being a safe haven for them. Oh, if I'm feeling this type of way, I can come to dad. I can talk to him about my feelings and I can cuddle them and tell them, hey, it's going to be okay. Or let's fix this problem together. And something me and my wife just realized that is understand before you give a response, because
Mm.
before I would just be like, as soon as she finished I'd be like, da da da. She's like, but you're listening to respond, you're not understanding. And like we went through something today, it was just like she wasn't she was going through something today, and I was just like, wow, I totally understand. And us men as being, we're quick to solve a problem, but it's like, hey, I totally understand. Wow, that is a lot. If you need help or if you need solutions, I'm here. And that has really, really, being a dad has really helped me out. I
Yeah.
learned that.
And it's interesting that you talk about culture because what I've learned across, 100, I think you're my 168th episode, something
Oh,
like that.
nice.
We're pushing 170, right? That pressure is universal. It's
Hmm.
like a man culture.
Right.
It's like white, black, yellow, purple, whatever. It's like man up, put it on your shoulders, and don't show any emotions and don't cry. And I had
Right.
a really good interview. In fact, I should put a link to it with RJD, the Imperfect Gentleman, on Instagram. Check him out. He's like, look, he goes, what happens when our daughter trips and falls in the living room? Everybody comes around. Oh, baby, how you doing? Oh, you scuffed your knee. Oh, and they just go overboard of, oh,
Hmm.
how are you feeling? Do you feel better now? Let me kiss it for you.
Hmm.
Same room, same situation. The boy trips, and what's he get?
Suck it up.
He even starts to cry. Oh, come on, it doesn't hurt that bad. We immediately disavow his feelings. And we
Right.
tell him, push it aside and man up.
Yep. And wonder
Right?
why he feels that way when he's older or suppressing his feelings. And yeah, it starts from a young age. And I think I'm learning to unlearn and relearn. And that has kind of been a tough one. just because being a dad, being a husband, being a man, and allowing yourself that time to unlearn and relearn. And I had to realize it's just like I'm doing it for myself, I'm doing it for my wife, and I'm doing it for my kids. But it's a lot of
Yeah.
baggage, it's a lot of hurt. But at the end of the day, it's definitely worth it.
Well, the nice thing is that you and Tiffany are working together,
Hmm.
right? To work through it as a couple. You know, you have your individual vision board, but you have a common vision board,
Hmm.
and that's creating a unity in your family that your kids will see, they'll feel, they'll have a confidence going, you know what, mom and dad got me. Mom and
Hmm.
dad got our family. And ultimately, I think that's, you know, the ultimate goal. You know, whether you're a married couple or, you know, you're divorced or single, and, you know, we're all trying to figure out how to create that safe space where our kids feel loved and protected and valued and that they have a voice. So, in final wrap up, what do you think are one or two things that you think men, dads should do in their home?
I think men and dads should, one, I would say kind of sit down and have, like, at dinner time, sit the entire family down and have dinner together and talk about your day. Just kind of let everyone know that you're human and just kind of get engaged of everyone's um I think just sit down and just have conversation. That's one thing. And I think I would say bring God into the home. Be that man of the house. I mean, if that's your thing, I would just say no. It's God, wife, kids. Kind of like follow that order if that's what you believe in. But it's like structure, kind of like structure, and be vulnerable. I guess that's like three. But be vulnerable and let your family know you have feelings, and
I love
keep an
that.
open. I want to say open dialogue, but just kind of be open with what's going on in your life, because I feel like the wife may not know, the kids may not know, and I think by being open and being vulnerable will allow more understanding. And I feel like as men, we don't get understood as much as we should because we're closed up, or feel like we have to deal with it ourselves. And be open about your feelings, and even if you feel like you can't, keep being open about it, because at the end of the day, I feel like every man needs some type of healing, and we
Yeah.
won't get that because we're closed. And find yeah, just find somebody to talk to if you feel like you can't talk to your wife or your kids. And that's kind of, I'm glad I do have that and I have friends. But just open up, open up, because I feel like every man has something that they're not being open with. But if you are, great.
Well, I love that, and I've loved this conversation. I want to thank you for your time. I mean, we've gone a lot longer than I planned to, and you and I could keep going.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I love visiting with you, and I really appreciate the insight that you've given tonight, because I think a lot of men are, you know, they're experiencing similar things as you are, and they're trying to
Hmm.
figure it out. And so I want to thank you for your time. Please give
Yes,
Tiffany
sir.
my appreciation and love for
Will
giving
do.
you a little bit of this time, you know, with me. And guys that are listening, gals that are listening, please go out and connect with Kean Moore. I mean, you just go take a search for Lavish Auto Detailing or look him up on Facebook and Instagram. You will see, you know, not only a great business owner, but also a great dad and a great husband. And that's really the mission of Father's Fire. We want to ignite the fire within you men to become better husbands, better fathers. And as you do that, that will ripple across all of your relationships. What you do in the home sets the tone for everything else, and vice
Amen.
versa. If you neglect your home and you put everything else first, the repercussions are going to be felt in your family. But I found that when you put your family first, everything is affected in a positive, beautiful way that is, there's no other way that you can find that type of success. No, if there's no success in the home, you're not going to have success anywhere else.
Agreed.
Not true and lasting success. So.
Right.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And you guys that are listening, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And if you haven't checked out my book, you got to go check it out on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Learn to dance with the currents of life when you feel like you're drowning. And we will check you guys same time, same bat channel just next week. See ya.